Opening day is here, and you know what that means? Old white guys have places to gather where society doesn't think they're up to no good. Or are they? Spring is here, baseball's here, and so is the Out Yonder. Welcome back to our first ever baseball edition of the Out Yonder. As always, Magic Mike right here, and we've brought back Mrs. Magic to talk baseball with us because, in today's day and age, we have women doing the sport programming. So I wanted to be, up to date with that kind of stuff. But unlike all those other shows, we actually have a woman who knows what she's talking about. You know what you're talking about, don't you?
A little bit.
All right, well, we'll see. It's a baseball edition. We love baseball. I'm a Mets fan. She's a Mets fan. That's why we've been able to tolerate each other for so long. My brother married a Yankee fan. They're divorced. Nothing more needs to be said about that. But the birds are tweeting. Spring's in the air. Hope springs eternal. Met fans are all riled up. We're ready for a good season. But we're not just going to talk about the Mets. We're going to talk about baseball in general. So just get a little bit of background on you. You were a Met fan as a kid, and then you kind of converted to the Orioles for a little while. Tell us about that.
Okay, so no, I come by both of those. I don't know, followings. Honestly, so my parents were Met fans. So yes, I was naturally a Met fan. But we moved to Baltimore when I was in third grade, and of course, this is back in the days before the interwebs. Before satellite TV, or at least if it was, we couldn't afford that. So, I mean, if you're following a team and it's not in the town you're living in, yes,
Right.
you can check the standings in the newspaper and all that, but you can't watch them on TV. You can't. So I learned baseball, actually. My dad took me to my first game, was an Orioles game, and I learned baseball there. He taught me how to keep a scorecard and all that stuff, watching the Orioles, the miserable, miserable Orioles. And I would fall asleep listening to the AM radio with the Orioles on, and get up the next day to see if they won or not. So I really grew up that way.
Right. No, that's fun. That's a fun way, then. That's what baseball meant to me as a kid, too. Wind is always out here at the Out Yonder, and our straws are blowing away, but that's okay. My orange and blue theme met, we only have blue left, but that's okay. But I grew up a baseball fan first, too. And I went into all sports and became this avid sport fan for a long time. I really don't watch any other sports, as most people know by now, because I've said it many times. But baseball is something purer to me. It's something I grew up with. It's in my fabric, as it is in most older generation people. We really love it. And as a family, we really love baseball. We travel all around the country. We go to different stadiums. We're going to be in San Diego this month for the Mets. We're going to go to Las Vegas to go see the 51s. Couple of times because they're close by. We're going to go see the Angels, because even though your secondary team is the Orioles, me being a Southern Californian boy now at this point in my life, I've adopted the Angels as my secondary team. Love Mike Trout. Love what they're doing over there. I forget his first name, but Otani, the new Japanese kid's got a lot of promise. So we're going to go see the Angels in May, and then we're going to Colorado in June. We're going to go see the Mets in Colorado. First time in Colorado, of course.
Yeah.
And we're going to have the Rocky Mountain oysters. Yeah, you're going to try them. I'm going to try them. That's what we do. That's how we roll.
I like stadium food. I like experimenting. That one I'm not so sure of.
Yeah, we're going to do it, and we're going to have you
You're
back
going to give me a beer?
You probably will have several beers on your own accord without my prodding. I'm sure of it. But, yeah, Rocky Mountain Oysters, we expect a full report from you on that one.
Okay.
But let's get into a little bit of serious baseball talk now. There's, we're going to do some prognosticating here a little bit, and let's see where you're at. I'm kind of up to date on stuff. Let's go around the horn. We'll go division by division. So, first of all, let me say this. I don't think there's any surprises.
No.
I think whoever was pretty much the better teams last year, that's what's going to be again this year. What's expected. There's a couple of sleeper teams for wild cards. We'll talk about that. But let's start in the American League. I'm a National League guy, but we'll start with the American League, and we'll wrap up with my what I know better. But we'll start with the American League East. You know them a little bit because you watch the Orioles. It's the Red Sox and the Yankees.
It's the Red
again.
Sox and the Yankees.
They're pretty evenly balanced. I know the Yankee fans are all shooting their mouths off already, like they love to do nonstop for the last couple of decades. John Carlos Stanton, Jeter gave them a gift. Happy birthday to my old buddies there. I handed him one of the best players in baseball, and he's really not one of the best players in baseball. He's just a prolific home run hitter. He's a 260 career guy who strikes out a lot and is hurt a lot. So he's got something to prove. Can he stay on the field for more than 100 games with the Yankees? Mm-hmm. That's a test. And everybody hits a lot of home runs with the Yankees. He will too. So it's not a big deal. They play in the bandbox. Right. I mean, it's not hard to hit a lot of home runs with the Yankees. So that will happen. I will give the Red Sox a slight edge because I like their 1-2 punch in their pitching rotation. It'll be my theme all through baseball. Whoever's got the best pitching is going to go on to win. Especially when you talk about playoffs and short series, you're number 1 and number 2. Chris Sale and Rick Porcello are better than Luis Severino and Sonny Gray. Severino's pretty good. Sonny Gray, I think, is not a sold commodity in my book. The other guys in the Yankees rotation are old. We'll see if they still got anything left in the tank. But I'd give a slight edge to the Red Sox. How do you feel about the American League East?
Well, of course it's the Yankees and the Red Sox, but I'm going to hold out hope.
For the Orioles?
Well, this is it. This is going to be their...
They did sign Alex Cobb, so that's a big move, but that's not enough.
They were so bad for so long, and then a few years ago they finally made the playoffs again. But this is like their last... It could be their last year.
Well, Machado's
with Adam
gone.
Jones and Machado. I know, Machado's.
Machado might be gone this year. They may trade him if they're not doing well.
So... I don't know. I'm going to hold out hope, but of course, the Yankees and the Red Sox are right.
Right.
If you look at the statistics, I don't have the data at my fingertips, but I'm pretty sure if you look at the statistics, payroll correlates with every year being one of the favorites.
Well,
does it not?
Houston Astros kind of proven everybody wrong on that one.
Okay.
So we're going to get to that in a minute.
All right.
We'll move on to the Central and Cleveland Indians again. Not a surprise there.
Yep.
Not a surprise there. I mean, they're a complete team, pitching, hitting. They're well-rounded, well-managed, great organization. They'll be there in the end. Sleeper team. I'm saying they're going to get a wild card is the Minnesota Twins. They did a great job in loading up their pitching staff this year. Jake Odorizzi and Lance Lynn and Addison Reed. On top of Irvin Santana comes back. If he comes back, he's going to be hurt for a little while. They are loaded pitching-wise, so they can be around. And if they get into a short series with somebody, they could be a lot of trouble. And then the rest of the division is kind of middling. So, but how do
Sounds good.
Yeah, you're gonna go along with that? I made it easy for you, didn't I?
Come on.
All right. So, not your strong point, the American League Central. They would say that. All right. I'm giving you a hard time. That's what I do around here. I give everybody a hard time.
I was ready to talk about, the changes in how we handle pitching staffs and but no, you're just gonna go by the book of division by division. Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
No, we can do that too if you want. But I'm just gonna go through some stuff because this is what people want to hear. They want to hear if their team gets so that. And then in the American League West, it's the Astros. The Astros are the best team in baseball. I'm gonna have a hard time picking them to win the World Series because I don't like picking people to repeat. I always think something's tough to repeat, but they're phenomenal. They have proven that you can strip the thing down, struggle for a few years, and develop and build, and you can have a perennial winner. And they're showing it. And I've always discussed that in my coaching over years, and you have a lot of guys who don't like to subscribe to that because they think it's win now. But if you can strip it down for a couple of years and really lay your foundation, you can have a year in, year out winner. And I think the Astros are there.
You can, but you got to have things go the right way too, as far as injuries and...
Right. Injuries are always there. I mean, but guys like Springer and Altuve are two of the best position players in the game, and the 1-2 punch, once again, I like the 1-2 punch. Verlander Keuchel is one of the best in the game, not the best in the game. We'll discuss that one later.
Okay.
All right, let's slide it over. We're staying in the West. We're going to the National League West. And the Dodgers and the Kings.
You have to say the Dodgers.
Thank you. Welcome, Dodgers, for us handing you Justin Turner. I hated it. I hated what the Mets did by just letting him walk away. But Justin Turner, one of the best players in baseball these days. They have some decent pitching. I think the Dodgers are taking a step back with their pitching. I think, this is where they can get into a little bit of trouble this year. You get Kershaw, who's proven at this point now that, his best games are pitched in May and June.
Yes.
Not in September and October.
Nope.
And Rich Hill, a 38-year-old career high 3 ERA pitcher as your number 2 is shaky ground. Kenley Jansen's still a man in the bullpen, but they have a shaky rotation. They do have great hitting. They have all these guys with their launch angles, though, so I feel like they're prone to cold streaks. But they won 100 games last year. I don't think they will this year. I think the Diamondbacks will be up there. But I thought the Giants could be there this year, but I don't know if you heard, Bumgarner just got hurt.
No.
He's out till June. Broke a bone in his hand, and he's out till June. And the Giants are nothing without Bumgarner. So I was ready to put them in the mix, but I'm not sure. They might be buried by the time they get out of June.
Well, we'll see.
We will see. Now we're moving on to the National League Central. Cubs. I feel like they've taken a step back a little bit too, though. I mean, they've replaced Arrieta with Yu Darvish. Yu Darvish is kind of, to me, is a poor man's Clayton Kershaw. He hasn't proved that he can pitch in the big game either, over and over again.
No, there is such a thing as clutch.
I know they like the sabermetricians of these days, like the discount clutch.
Yeah, no, there is
nonsense.
such a thing. Yeah.
It's nonsense.
Yeah.
There is clutch.
Yeah.
There is such a thing as clutch, and those guys are not clutch.
No.
So I think the Cubs can take a step back, but they'll still win that division. And I think the Brewers are coming, though. The Brewers made tremendous moves in the outfield this year with Christian Yelich and what's his name, Lorenzo Cain from the Royals signing, and now Ryan Braun. He got like one of the best outfielders in baseball. But if they could pitch a little bit, they got a chance. But I'm not sure about their pitching, so we'll see. And now my most favorite division.
Yes.
The National League
What's
East.
your prediction?
Well,
Are we going?
Well, if they're healthy, the Mets can contend with anybody. If they're healthy. The two big things that the Mets have, which is why I'm going to call them the most improved team in baseball this year, is simply because they're projected to be healthier than they were last year. It couldn't be any more unhealthy than they were last year. So, you had the best pitcher on their staff, potentially the best pitcher in baseball, Noah Syndergaard, didn't pitch at all last year. Yoenis Cespedes missed over 90 games last year. And the most important move the Mets made is we got rid of Terry Collins, the absolute worst manager in the history of baseball. That in and of itself should project to about 15 to 18 more wins from their 70. That's a lot.
All right.
But they're going to be there in the wild card. I'm going to give the Nationals the division right now. We'll revisit. Maybe we'll do a mid-season report at some point. I'll give the Nationals, but the Nationals haven't made any upgrades. They're pretty much the same team as they were last year. So you're expecting things to go exactly as they went last year. Like we said, things happen.
Mm-hmm.
I think the Mets, with the rest of the division, is garbage. The other three teams are garbage. So I think, we'll see what happens. But I think the Mets will be there as a wild card. I think the Diamondbacks will be the other wild card. And the Brewers right there potentially as well.
All right.
So those are my predictions. I'm not going to get into
There it is. It's on the record.
It's on the record. I'm not going to get into player predictions yet.
Yeah.
We'll do that. Maybe we'll do a mid-season report. I think that's a good idea. But you wanted to talk about the changes in the game a little bit, no? Or do you want to go back and talk about Rocky Mountain Oysters again?
No.
But I'm looking forward to it. I'm a big baseball guy. I love baseball season. I love driving around the country and visiting stadiums and meeting different people and talking to people and talking baseball. It's such a good community of people. It's just a fun thing to do. It's not crazy. Like football games can get crazy. It's not crazy unless you're in Dodger Stadium.
I was gonna say some stadiums are more enjoyable than others.
Dodger Stadium is not a fun stadium
No.
to watch a game in. So the fans are terrible. Sorry, Yankee Stadium has terrible fans. I think the last
Although
time
it's been a while since you were at Yankee Stadium.
it has
probably.
been, to be honest with you, Citi Field's got a bunch of knuckleheads.
Yeah,
in it too.
it does.
I don't really like watching games there anymore. The loud music and all the chatter and all the nonsense. I like to go sit in a game and watch a game and just talk baseball.
San Diego's really nice.
San Diego's great. The Anaheim, the Angels
Yeah.
had a really good time
Yeah.
there. We had a good time when we were up in Seattle. The people up there were
Yeah.
nice. That was a
Yep.
good baseball stadium.
It was.
Even though we were at a rival game last year, we were at the new Atlanta Braves Stadium. That was a peaceful stadium.
That was.
Miami wasn't bad because nobody knows what they're talking about. If they even get 1,000 fans a game this year, we'll
not
see.
too many people
Tampa Bay
there.
was nice. That was a nice stadium. There people,
That's right.
people there
Mm-hmm.
were kind of informed.
And we
that
saw
was
Doc
cool.
Gooden there.
And we saw met Doc Gooden.
Yeah.
That was awesome. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to baseball. You're looking forward to baseball.
Oh yeah, well, and this is, I mean, the beginning is the best because who
It's
knows?
always the best.
There's so much hope.
Next week I could be a misery. And
No, not by next week. Not by
Yeah.
next week. You know.
But it's opening day today.
But that was, I mean, that was one of the things with Terry Collins and other managers you haven't liked is that whole, it's a long season, it's okay,
No, that's
you
why-
got to jump out front.
That's
you
why
gotta,
this manager is different. He said it right off the bat. He said we're coming out and we need to win games as soon as possible. Every game's important. So I like that. The guy from the Cleveland Indians, by the way, who was a great pitching coach, and now let's see
All
if
right.
he can convert that to manager.
Let's go Mets.
Let's go Mets. Thanks for listening to us babble about the Mets and everything else. Hope you like my baseball edition. If you have any comments or you would like to tear me apart on some of my comments, send in some messages to toywmm@gmail.com. That is the initials to the Out Yonder with Magic Mike @gmail.com. If you have baseball opinions you'd like to throw them at me. Maybe I'll bring up one a week as we go along here through the baseball season. As always, click on this handsome guy right above this pretty young lady's head to subscribe to the show. Thank you for listening. Enjoy your baseball season, and once again, let's go Mets. Peace.